about knowing your industry. So trying to get you to think about the skills that you might need to develop whilst you're out on placement, give you a little bit of an idea of the sorts of placements that you can do that are related to your degree or related to the skills that you want to develop. Before I start, if you were not here last week, you need to watch the video of my first presentation, which is on Moodle. It's on the Moodle's placements page. I know there was some issues accessing it last week, but we've now taken off the password. So hopefully I will show you the QR code. But if you weren't here last week, please watch the video. You cannot go out on placement unless you've completed every single step, which is attending all of the lectures. And if you're not able to attend the lectures, it's watching the videos on catch up. So from today's session, there are two things that I hopefully want you guys to take from this, and one of them is to identify the key skills that you can develop whilst you are out on placement, and the second one is to understand your sector and the placement opportunities within it. Before I start, I wanted to give you a reminder of some key information and key contacts for you. So the placement dates. You can either choose to do a full-time placement during the placement block, which is the 17th of April for 5 to 6 weeks, depending on how long it takes you to achieve your minimum amount of hours. Your minimum amount of hours on placement you can find in your module handbook, but Teresa told me for you it is 150. So you need to be completing a minimum of 150 hours on placement in order to pass the module. If you do not want to work full-time during the placement block because you have children, caring responsibilities, part-time jobs, any other commitments, and a full-time placement will not work for you, you can do the flexible placement, which is starting as soon as possible. Right now, on my career, I have 3 legal placements advertised. Not one person has applied to them. They're literally shadowing solicitor within 3 top law firms in Leeds. If you're looking for a legal placement, I cannot tell you how competitive it is to get one. The fact that I've got 3 being advertised, I've been on there for about a week and nobody's applied to it, seems really silly to me. So if you're looking for a placement within a law firm, go on there. What I imagine is going to happen now is everyone's going to go on and apply, so it's going to make it even more competitive. But there you go. So be looking at my career every single day. I'm advertising placements on there constantly. If you think that you're not going to be able to find one yourself, or if you want to make life easier, apply on my career. Yeah.
So you know the ones you're advertising?
Yeah.
They're the ones we can use for
your placement. Yeah, 100%. So just check the details on there as well. I think one of them is during the placement block because they want you in full time, and the other 2 will be flexible, starting as soon as possible. If it's a flexible placement, the organisation knows to speak to you as to the reasons why you need a flexible placement. So for example, you might have a part-time job, you might have other commitments. They will then be flexible around your studies and other commitments and make sure that you are doing days that work for you. If you are going to choose to do a flexible placement, you need to be starting it as soon as possible. The latest you can start a flexible placement is the 27th of February. We have worked this out based on if you were to do 1 day a week, and this is just to make sure that you achieve your minimum amount of hours. If you are to do a block placement, you need to submit your placement details by the 3rd of March next year. So anything submitted after that might not be authorised. So please make sure that you submit your placement details by the 3rd of March. If you apply for one on my career, you don't need to submit any details because we obviously have all of the information that we need. Your placement officer is myself, so there are loads of different ways that I can give you support. Coming into these presentations, first of all, giving you information, you can grab me at the end. I'll always leave time for questions. So at the end of the presentation, I can answer anything related to placements. Every Wednesday and Thursday, the placements team run a drop-in session in LC018, so in the library, in the downstairs computer room from 1 till 2, every Wednesday, every Thursday. If you want us to look at your CV, if you want us to help you with an application form, if you want us to help you with an upcoming interview, please book onto one of those drop-in sessions on my career and attend. I run a drop-in session every Tuesday, which will be in the atrium. You don't need to book onto that, you just turn up. That's from 1 o'clock till 2 o'clock, so I'll be sat in the atrium for 1 hour to answer any questions every single Tuesday, starting from next week. And then if you would like one-to-one support, so if there's a question you want to ask me that you don't feel comfortable asking in front of other people, or if you just want some more tailored one-to-one advice, I run one-to-one appointments every Thursday, starting from tomorrow, from 11 till 1. I'm working from home tomorrow, so if you do want an appointment tomorrow, that's fine, but it'll be via Teams, and it will be between 11 and 1. You can book onto that via My Career. Going forward from next week, there will be a combination of either Teams or Campus, whatever works for you. If you have any generic queries or anything, for example, you've got a question on your placement allowance, you've got a question on DBS applications, anything like that, please email placements@Leeds Trinity. And our placements office is AG12 in the main building. It is a back office, so if you come and knock on the door and say, I want to ask you a question, what I will probably do is I'll ask you to book a one-to-one appointment, because there's loads of elements to my role. I'm super busy, which is why I have scheduled separate drop-in sessions, one-to-one appointments and lectures for you guys. So if you do need to speak to me, please can you, rather than knocking on the door and asking the question, go onto My Career and book one of the appointments or attend one of the sessions that I do put on. If you haven't done so already, follow the Instagram, follow the Facebook if you are on social media. We advertise placements on there, we advertise upcoming events, we advertise all sorts of different things that will be really useful for you. One key date for your diary now is our Careers Fair, which will be on the 18th of October. It is from 10 till 3, it is in the atrium. You do need to book that you're attending on My Career, but you can just turn up at any time. There are loads of employers that will be coming in, they'll have stands. It is a careers fair, however, you are more than welcome to come along and start networking now. Often it is not what you know, it is who you know, especially in such a competitive field such as law. We do have some law firms that are attending, and you can absolutely ask them if they would be happy to offer you a placement. So please do come along and see if you can speak to anybody whilst you're there about placements, or even just to make them aware of you so that when you graduate, if you apply, they remember your name. So that's some key information. So 5 things that you all need to be doing. So you hopefully have already, since my session last week, have already started thinking about what it is that you would like to do. And hopefully you will already know the sorts of key skills that you will need to identify within your sector. And these are the key skills that you should be thinking about developing whilst on placement. I will go through prospects.ac.uk with you on the next slide, but that is a really useful website that will give you so much information about your chosen career field. Please start researching your sector and companies to contact. I know from experience, so part of my role is to do business development, to try and find placements for you guys to advertise on My Career. How many legal firms I contact and they turn around and say, we've already got somebody, we've already had 6 students contact me from the University of Leeds, from the School of Law. It's very competitive to get a placement within law. Also, a lot of employers ideally want longer than 6 weeks, so flexible placement might be a route that you need to go down, but please do not leave it till last minute. Start researching and contacting employers now. If there is definitely something specific that you want to do, please be ahead of the game. And make sure that you attend all of the placement lectures and sessions delivered by the Careers and Placements team. You will all know that you need to complete a professional placement pathway on My Career. Each session that I deliver is one of your pathways. So last week, everybody that attended should have completed their first pathway, which was attending the first session and completing the placement allowance form. Your second pathway, when you log on, is basically this session. So as soon as I finish, you can log on to your pathway and you can click that you've completed the second pathway, which is attending this lecture. If you missed last week's session, you cannot complete the pathway until you've watched the video. We can see who has watched the video, and we also have a register of who attended last week. So if we can see that you've completed your pathway, you weren't in last week's session, and you've not watched the video, you will be contacted. So please don't just tick that you've completed it if you haven't, because it's of no benefit to you to do that. You're missing out on loads of key information. So please make sure that you attend the sessions and then click that you've completed the pathway. Anyone that's not here today, for example, if you've got friends that have not been able to make it because of the train strike or whatever, all of these sessions will go onto Moodle. I'm actually recording right now, so this will all go onto Moodle. So anyone that's missed a session will still be able to watch it online with the information that I'm giving, and then you can obviously complete the pathway. So this is prospects.ac.uk. The QR code is there, but it is literally just the simple website Prospects. There are 3 different things that you can do on this website. So the first one is Career Planner. Hopefully, or maybe you do, maybe you don't, you already know what it is that you would like to do when you graduate. If you don't, take the quiz. It is a little bit of fun. You don't need to take it massively seriously, but it will give you an idea of, for example, based on your desires. Yeah?
Sorry to interrupt.
It's all right.
I tried to log in and again. It's still saying the same thing.
Okay, what I'll do is at the end I'll try and fix it for you, and if I can't, then we do have someone in our office that's like IT, and I'll flag it up to him. So you can complete the quiz. It'll give you an idea of perfect careers for you based on what you're interested in, what your strengths and weaknesses are, and that sort of stuff. The other way to use it is, so for example, you can type in the course that you are studying, so law. If you type in that you are studying law, it will give you a whole list of job options, so careers that are related to a law degree. So it might give you an idea of what you could potentially do when you graduate. It will give you an idea of the sort of work experience that you should be getting involved with now that will help you for when you graduate. The types of employers that you could start contacting for your placement or for when you graduate. Skills for your CV. So this is the one that you should really be looking at with your placement. So skills for your CV are the skills that employers are looking for from law graduates if you're looking to have a career in a legal field. Those skills for your CV are the skills that you should be looking at when you're going out on placement, so that when you graduate, you have these skills that they are looking for. It tells you what you could do if you don't want to go straight into a job role, you want to do further study, what you could do, and then some information on what law graduates do once they graduate. If you know exactly what it is that you would like to do, so I've used a barrister as an example, you can type in the job title of what it is that you want to do. You might have started the law degree because you do know exactly what it is that you want to do at the end of it. If you type in the job title, it will give you loads of information on that job role. So the responsibilities that you would be responsible for if you were to go into that career, the salary that you can expect, and they've done this based on location, and also when you first start out as a graduate and what your salary could eventually get to. The qualifications that you will need to be a barrister or whatever it is that you put in there. The skills that you will need, again, so another good one for you to look at so that you can have a think about the sort of skills you should be developing now on placement so that you've got those on your CV. Work experience, career prospects, and then it just goes into some other related jobs and courses. So if you're not sure what you want to do, definitely go on there, type in law and look at the different job options that are there for you. If you do know what you want to do, go on there, type in the job title and look at the skills that you should be developing now throughout your time at university. So the purpose of your placement is to develop and build upon those skills that you already have so that when you graduate, you have exactly what it is that your employer is looking for. So some key skills for law, as you can see, a lot of it are things that you could potentially develop in any placement. So for example, interpersonal skills, communication, ability to absorb large amounts of data, being self-motivated, being able to negotiate. These are all skills that you will learn throughout your academic years, as well as skills that you can develop whilst on placement. These are some of the key skills that employers are looking for when you graduate. So these are the skills that you need to be thinking about developing whilst you are out on placement. So these are some skills that you could develop on placement. I won't read through them all. It's kind of a little bit of a repeat of the previous slide, but again, self-confidence, organisation, attention to detail, making sure that you're doing things throughout your placement so that you can provide examples of times of when you have done this. So for example, when you go to an interview, an employer might say to you, can you give me an example of a time where you had to solve a really difficult problem, for argument's sake. If you're doing this whilst on placement and building that, then at least when you graduate, you have examples to give when you are interviewing. You may have heard this phrase before, so hard skills versus soft skills. So hard skills are the skills that you're probably going to develop throughout your lectures and your learning. So for example, the knowledge of contracts, wills, criminal procedures, things that are directly related to your degree. Soft skills are those skills that you can develop anywhere really, whether it's extracurricular activities, volunteering, placement, so time management, professionalism, communication. as a graduate, employers are not necessarily looking for all of those hard skills, because they know that they can give you additional training, and they can support you with those skills. It's the softer skills that you really need to be thinking about developing whilst out on placement. Those ones that are essentially your characteristics and your traits. Those are the things that employers will be looking for. So those are the things that you need to be thinking about developing whilst you are out on placement. So this wasn't an activity, it was a VBOX. I've taken it off because I just could not get it to work. But it was just to have a think about the different skills that you can develop on placement. But in all fairness, I have literally gone through a lot of them. But I'm pretty sure you all know the sorts of skills that you will need to develop whilst you are going out on placement. If you don't, please read through these slides again. We also have some other slides on Moodle called placement area slides. They go into skills and the skills you can develop course specific in more detail. And then of course you've got prospects.ac.uk. Make sure you are utilising that website as well. We're asking students to think outside the box. So for example, if you cannot get that placement within the police or within a specific law firm or within the magistrate's court or whatever, if you've been contacting them, you're just not getting anywhere, just try and think outside the box a little bit. Again, I don't want to keep saying the word, but just do think about the skills that you can develop. So for example, if you're not able to work as a solicitor, think about other ways that you can get some sort of experience. Think about different organisations, different ways that you can build on those skills and that knowledge that will still be able to lead you towards your chosen career path. So before you start applying for a placement, you really need to think about what you want to do. So a lot of you might already know exactly what it is that you want to do, which is brilliant. But if you don't, the best place to start is with what do you want to do, where do you want to do it, why do you want to do it, and who do you want to do it with. So what do you want to do? So consider, for example, which areas of law interest you. What have you been studying? What have you done in your first year? What are you doing in your second year? Are there any areas that really interest you? And if they do, see if you can try and find a placement within that area. Where do you want to do it? So do you drive or are you on public transport? If you're on public transport, can you get there? Do not commit to doing a placement just because it's the perfect placement, but then you find that it's going to take you hours to get there every day. Please make sure that if you are travelling to and from, which most likely if you're going into like a law firm or anything, they are all on site. So make sure that you can get there. If you choose to do the block placement, I mentioned this last week, and you don't live in Leeds, you can contact businesses in your hometown. During that block placement, you will not have any lectures, you will not have any exams, any assessments. You are free to work full time on a placement. So if you do not live in Leeds and you want to go back to your hometown in April, absolutely, please feel free to contact businesses within your local area. If you are opting to do the flexible placement, and for example you find a placement that's down south but you need to be Wednesday morning in a law lecture, it's not going to work for you. So if you are going to do one in your hometown, just make sure that it's feasible for you, because at the end of the day the lectures do come first. So Teresa doesn't want to get an email from you saying I can't come to the lecture today because I'm on placement. It's not going to cut it. So please make sure that the placement is around your studies and other commitments, and also it is feasible for you to get there. Think about why you want to do it. So why do you want to do a specific placement? What do you want to gain from it? What do you want to learn from it? Kind of think about what you want to get from the placement and make sure that you're going to achieve those. You can speak to the employer and let them know, this is what I really want to gain from this, and they can hopefully build it into your placement. And who do you want to work with? So do you want a small legal firm, independent? Do you want to work within the legal team within a large organisation? Private sector, public sector? Start having a think about what it is that you would like to do and who you would like to do it with, and then start thinking about ways that you can get in contact with those organisations. Once you go out on, prior to going out on placement, you will be sent a health and safety form. This is a new thing. It's been introduced because we have a duty of care for you when you go out on placement. When you submit your placement details, or when you are confirmed on a placement through My Career, you will be sent a health and safety form. It will ask you questions such as, are you familiar with the location? Do you know how you're going to get there? How are you going to get there? Are you on a bike? Are you driving? Are you on the bus? Are you familiar with the bus routes? These are all things that we're going to ask you about working conditions, all of that sort of stuff, just to make sure that it is a placement that you're going to be safe in. We will also send the same form or a similar form to the employer, and they will need to complete it as well, just so that we can make sure that they have health and safety policies in place for you also. So that's just to make you aware that you cannot start a placement until the health and safety form has been completed. I have had a few students coming up to me saying they've already started a placement. If you have, you need to be contacting me as soon as possible, because really you shouldn't have, because we need to have all of this before you can actually go out on placement. So if you've sorted something, you've already started, or you're literally going to be starting something soon, please make sure that you get in contact with me as soon as possible so we can send you out the relevant documents. So I'm not going to read through all of these. This has just been taken from prospects.ac.uk, but these are some roles where they're typical roles that are directly linked to a law degree. So the first column, you need to have a law degree in order to go into any of these roles. The second column is where roles are useful, but it's not essential if you've got a law degree. So that's just to give you a little bit of an idea of some job titles or some job roles that you could go into, or to give you some placement ideas. So this one I would really like to get your input with. So as I mentioned, I do business development. I contact lots of different organisations to try and get placements to advertise on my career. I am responsible for 5 different courses, and none of them are related. So English, law, journalism, computer science, and I've forgotten the other one now. But it gives me an idea of what you guys would like to do so that I can focus my business development. Now, I'm not here to literally do it all for you. You do need to go out and try and find placements yourself. But if I can get a general idea of the sorts of businesses or the sorts of placements you would like to do, at least I can try and focus my business development in certain areas. Because at the moment, I'll be honest, I've just been contacting local law firms. Is there anything else? Is there anyone in this room that there's something different that they want to do, or there's some different placements, different organisations that you would like me to try and do some research and try and contact? You know, I'm doing half the job for you. If you can give me a bit of an idea of what it is that you might like to do. Yeah?
Can you get into the prestigious law firms?
So if for example you've got an idea of specific companies that you want to work with, I would drop me an email with a list, because it may be that we already have connections, the university, because it's not only myself, but we've got my predecessors. So I've been here 2 years, but all of you know, the lady that I took over from, she might have some connections. Our careers department, they get involved with loads of graduate schemes with law firms and things like that. So we may very well have connections with specific law firms that you want me to contact. So send me a list through and I can let you know. Is there anything else?
I don't know. Prestigious is like, in my eyes, is just like,
So which ones in these do you think?
no, I don't know any of them.
So you're looking at ones that have other branches in other cities, perhaps international aspects.
Yeah, but I want it more to be in the corporate sector.
So you mean like larger corporate firms rather than your small little law offices? Yeah, okay. Yeah, I mean, if you send, we do, so, but, and if you send me, for example, you need to do some of their own research yourself, but if there are specific companies that you want me to have a look into. Yeah. Okay, I mean, these sorts of questions, things like that, this is when you should be booking a one-to-one with me as well, so we can explore further what it is that you would like to do, the sorts of companies that you'd want to go for. Then I've got an idea. But either email me a list, or like I said, I've got the one-to-one appointments tomorrow, 11 till 1. Book in with me via Teams, we can have a chat, start thinking about companies and how to get in contact with them. Is there anything outside of law firms, I guess is what I'm trying to say, because I understand law firms is a main one, but is there anything else that you guys might want to consider doing a placement in? Police, okay. Yeah.
Workplace unions.
Okay. Yeah, perfect. Anything else? Yeah, okay, so the police is a difficult one, I'll be honest with you, because we've got so many students that come to us and say, I really want to get into the police, and we do struggle with that. We have had students going into the police previously, but it is because they have had their own connections there. But I will speak to one of my colleagues who does do some work with the police and see what we can do in regards to placements. Okay, perfect. If you guys think of anything else.
Connections, I mean, like people they already
people within, yeah, so people within the organisation. So we network with organisations, they come and get involved with things, we do things for them, and they offer placements. Not necessarily, yeah. I mean, we have, so for example, we've been on visits to prisons before, so like Armley Prison, so we have like contacts there that we can contact, because we've already got that relationship. It makes it easier for us to then ask them to offer placements to our students.
Do you have any connections with sort of think tanks or non-governmental organisations or MPs or that sort of stuff?
So we have had students that have gone and done that previously, but again, it is because of their own networks, and I do understand a lot of people don't have networks like that. So we have had students that have done it in the past, but it is because it was like their uncle or something, knew somebody within the business. But the good thing is, because our students have gone there in the past, we have then started to build a relationship with those organisations, which we can develop on. But it's a good, yeah, I can have a look into that further and see if we can get anything else on there, and see if we can make contact with some people.
If any of you are interested in policy development, that sort of stuff, that may be interesting.
So what next? So please do review the resources available to you on Moodle. I will provide you with the QR code again if you've not already logged onto the placements page on Moodle. All of the lectures will go onto there, as well as, for example, course specific CV templates, how to contact an employer, all of that sort of stuff. Make sure that you're attending all of the lectures and then the advice sessions, workshops and events. Utilise everything that we are putting on for you. And remember, it's not just about your placement as well. Think about other extracurricular activities. It's not just what you're doing at uni, but also what you're doing outside of uni. Remember, everything that you do are things to put on your CV that will make you stand out from the crowd when you graduate. Research your sector and different job roles within it, visit prospects, dig out your CV and update it. And if you do need any advice on your CV, so I had one student saying, literally after my session, can I send you my CV to review it? No, please drop into one of the sessions. We run them for a reason. Every Wednesday or Thursday, literally come along with your CV and I will be there to sit down with you and give you any advice that I can do on your CV, on any upcoming interview or any application form that you need to complete. Start researching and contacting organisations. I cannot reiterate this enough. Please start doing it now. Do not leave it till last minute, because what will happen is if you leave it till last minute, you will end up doing a placement that you really do not want to do. So start thinking about it now. Like I said, there are a number of placements currently being advertised on My Career that are there for you to apply to. Literally done half the job for you. All you need to do is upload your CV. It's all right.
Can you go back to the same place, like for example with me, can I go back to the same place I did placement?
In your first year?
Yeah.
You can if you want to. We try and encourage you to do something different. But
I mean, if I do struggle, it's fine.
yeah, of course you can. Yeah, you can. Yeah. So we do encourage you to do something different, because then at least when you are graduating your CV, you've got a couple of different employers on there and you're learning different things. But yeah, it could be a backup option for you, for argument's sake. And also, if you are returning to a previous employer, do something different if you can. So don't just go and do the same thing. Think about what you didn't learn in your first year, what can you now learn in your second year? So try and at least do something different, maybe work in a different department or with somebody different, that sort of thing.
Yeah, because the first placement was only a week.
Exactly, yeah. So there's so much more that you could do there. Exactly, yeah. So yeah, I mean, by all means, you absolutely can do. All placements do need to be approved, so we will need to look at where you're going and what you'll be doing. But yes, you can return to whoever you went to in your first year if you would like to. Keep in touch with your personal tutor and your placement officer. So I am your placement officer. The amount of times that I come in and then someone knocks on the door and says, I don't know who my placement officer is, it is me. Make use of all of the drop-in sessions and the one-to-ones that I'm putting on. I can literally help you to find a placement. So utilise me. And look at placements on My Career. Like I've said, there are loads on there. They're not all related to law, and you do not need to apply for a placement just because I've advertised it. I have 2 colleagues who are also advertising various different placements within different organisations. You can apply to anything on My Career if you feel like it will benefit you and it will help you to develop the skills that you need to. So in my first presentation, I played this video. I'm not going to play it again unless anybody wants me to. It was basically, you'll remember it, it's a short video on how to use My Career. I don't see the point in me playing it again because I did only play it to you last week. But it's on YouTube. So if you go onto my career, you'll find it on YouTube. It's also on the Moodle page. It'll be built into this presentation, but it does just tell you how you can use my career. So you can use my career if you want to do any volunteering, if you want to look for a part-time job, if you would like to look at graduate schemes from now, if you want to book an appointment with a careers advisor, if you want to book an appointment with me, if you want to attend any networking events, you can do all of this via my career.